So I just realized that I have this really good, pulled it out of my own brain recipe, and I should have started from the beginning to record it, but I just thought of it. So what I had was about 2 cups of leftover turkey breast that I made in the crock pot the other day, or in my pressure cooker. And so I diced it up real fine and put it in the bowl with 8 ounces of cream cheese and a little bit of sour cream. I just was using up the leftovers of stuff in my fridge. So I bet it was probably about half a cup or so, maybe 3/4 of a cup of sour cream. And then a bunch of sharp cheddar cheese and a can of mild diced green chilies. So I'm just stirring that all together. And I put in a bunch of taco seasoning. I have, whenever we visit Texas, because we moved up north from Texas, we stop at our favorite grocery store called H-E-B. And I got a bunch of their taco seasoning mix. So it's in a can, it's already ready for me. So I just dumped a bunch of that in and I'm stirring it all together. And then I'm just putting it in some flour tortillas and lining it in the sprayed glass pan. And then I'll bake them at dinner time tonight or for lunch tomorrow, something like that. And we'll have an easy, quick burrito recipe that uses up my leftovers. So that's another way that we make sure that we have enough food, is just by not throwing stuff away. We try to put it into a different type of meal so the kids don't get sick of it, and that David and I don't get sick of it. But it keeps it fun. It keeps them wanting to eat what I cook, and hopefully it's healthy, and it gets the job done. And there's Rocket, always hopeful, always hoping that I have something to drop his way. So anyway, I'm going to finish this, and then I will show you what it looks like when we're ready to serve it. Okay, so I am cooking about 2 pounds of ground beef in a skillet here, and I'm going to season it with taco seasoning, and then we're going to turn this into a burrito casserole and put it in the freezer for the next couple weeks. And then over here I have 6 pounds of ground beef. Now this was in my freezer. I've defrosted it. I'm going to put it in here and make some meatballs. Now this is my mom's Norwegian meatball recipe, and so I'm going to mix this up, and then I'll show you what we put in there and all the different parts and steps to these 2 recipes. Okay, so I have ground up this meat, and when it was almost completely cooked, I added the taco seasoning. You can add 1 or 2 packs of taco seasoning mix if you want to. I personally just added a bunch of this Fiesta brand taco seasoning that I have, that I got at H-E-B in Texas. And then I just added about a cup of water, and I'm just letting it simmer down. And once it's done simmering, then I will drain off any excess liquid and assemble the casserole. So I'll show that when we get to that point. Now, this is some instant oatmeal, and in this bowl I added the 6 pounds of ground beef, 3 eggs. I put about a tablespoon and a half of salt, and then I put about a couple of teaspoons of pepper, and then I'm going to do a half a cup of milk or evaporated milk. I had a can of evaporated milk that I needed to use up from another recipe that I made last week, so I'm just dumping it in here. And then because I don't want to waste, and that's the big deal, is we have a lot of people to feed, and it's possible if we don't waste a lot of food and we don't go out to eat a lot. So this is 1 cup for the six pounds of meat of instant oatmeal, and I'm just going to use a fork and gently mix it together, because when you use your hands you can overwork it and the meatballs will be tough, and I want these meatballs to be really tender and yummy. So I'm going to use a fork and blend it all together, and then we'll make meatballs, roll them in flour, and just fry them just enough to get a little bit of a crust on the outside, but not enough to cook them all the way through. Okay, I have a little bit of refried beans left over in a bowl. So I'm going to put that in with the meat, and then I opened another can of refried beans, and I'm going to mix all that together to be my filling. And I'm going to mix in some Greek yogurt or some sour cream. I try to use Greek yogurt because it's higher in protein, lower in fat and calories. So I'm always trying to sneak in any kind of nutrients and protein in anywhere I can with my crew. So I'm going to put that in and mix that all together, and then I'll show you how I'm going to layer this to make a casserole for the freezer. All right, so I put 6 tortillas in the bottom of the pan, and then I put my leftover, I had sour cream left over. I didn't have any leftover Greek yogurt, so I just put the sour cream in. I'm going to stir it up, and then I'm just going to start layering the meat mixture, some shredded cheese, and then 6 more tortillas, and then make a few layers, top it with cheese, and wrap it up and put it in the freezer for a day that we need it, because this season is just so busy for us. So having things ahead of time and ready in the freezer, so that, and I even put it in a foil pan. I don't always, but we're so busy, and the kids get sick of having to do chores every time they turn around. So, and I don't always have time. So I'm just going to put it in this foil pan. And if we have time, we'll wash it out and reuse it. If not, we'll throw it away and call it a day. All right, so I'm just going to put a layer of this meat and sour cream and refried bean mixture. On here. If you hear noise in the background, it's my husband and one of the boys playing. And that is why I do this kind of stuff. I want us to be able to have more family time and fun time and make memories time. So it's worth it. Make a big mess today, clean it up, and then we don't make a big mess the rest of the week. So, all right. So I've sprinkled some cheese. I guess I better be a little more sparse with the cheese. I don't have a ton left. All right, so I'm going to put 6 tortillas. Okay, there's 6 tortillas. Some more of this mixture here. Puppy dog. It's always looking to see if they can help pick up anything I might hopefully drop, because that's how they are. All right. Handful of cheese. Okay. Top it with 6 more tortillas. Okay, I'm going to top it here, and I'll see how much I can put on top here. That tastes good. It tastes really good. My pan is spinning around. All right, so that was the end of the meat and bean and sour cream mixture. So I'm just going to make sure it's nice and evenly spread. And I'm going to top it with the rest of this cheese over here. And I will double wrap it in foil, and then wrap the outside in plastic wrap, because it really does keep it from getting frostbitten, and then it'll last longer in the freezer. Now, It's not gonna be in there that long at my house because we go through stuff pretty quickly, and we really love Mexican type meals. So it won't be in there long, probably eat it next week or this upcoming weekend. But if we needed it to be in there for a long time, then that's how I keep, if I do a ton at once, keep them from getting frostbite, and so that they stay tasting great, and pull them out several months later and they're perfectly fine. So I'm going to get this wrapped up and top it with this little bit more cheese that I have, get it wrapped up and ready to put in the freezer. I'm going to add a bunch of olive oil and a stick of butter. Yes, I know it's not great and healthy, but this is why it tastes so good. I'm going to put this stick of butter. And you put these together because the olive oil has a higher burn point, so it can get hotter, and butter doesn't. Butter has a low burning temp, and so I don't want my butter to burn, but I want the taste of butter on my meatballs. So I'm going to take some meat. So I've mushed up all this with a fork, and I have a big bowl of it. So I'm going to make some pretty good size, I would say 3 tablespoons or so size of meat, and form it into a ball. Then I roll it in flour. And then put it in the pot. So I'm going to do that and fill it. And then once I've finished doing all the meatballs, I'll put them into this foil pan, because I'm going to put these in the freezer. We're going to put this in the slow cooker on Christmas morning. We're going to use the lasagna that I made on Christmas Eve, and then the meatballs on Christmas Day for probably a late afternoon, early evening meal. And so that way it's done. They're done, and they'll just simmer in the crock pot with 2 packs of Lipton onion soup mix and 4 cups of water, and we'll put them on slow, and they'll cook for several hours in the crock pot, and they'll be super moist, super juicy, and the flavor will be amazing. So I'll show what it looks like in the pan once I'm done browning them and putting them in the foil pan. So I have finished the meatballs, and as you can tell, they're not fully cooked. I don't want them to be fully cooked. Now I'm going to sprinkle 2 packs, so 1 full box of this onion soup mix over the top. Now, I would normally just add it to the slow cooker when I'm going to do this, but I'm finding that my teenagers are wanting to do a lot of cooking, and they're using my ingredients, and then I don't have what I need when it's time to cook stuff. And so instead of causing them to feel bad and me to be frustrated or having to run extra to the store, it's just better if I add the ingredients that I need to the pans that I'm going to put in the freezer, and then that way it's just done. So I'll write on the foil that I need to add 4 cups of water, and I'm going to put this in my crock pot, in a crock pot liner, because I truly want Christmas Day to be like no mess, easy, everything, because I just want to be able to spend time with the family. So I'm going to dump this other packet of soup mix here over the top, and wrap it in foil, write on the top what to do, and put it in the freezer. All right, so we're still working on our Christmas food series, and I have I'm making meatballs for the freezer to cook on Christmas Day in the crock pot with some onion soup mix. And then we made a burrito casserole that's going to go in the freezer. And then I have a crock pot that I started last night with 2 big I believe they were about 4 pounds each, pork roasts in one crock pot with 2 bottles of creamy Caesar dressing. And I'm going to turn that into Caesar pasta bake, and I'll show that. And that is about it. I'm putting a pan of that in the freezer, and then we'll have a pan of that this week for one of our meals. So that way we've got... we'll use some now, some later. My family seems to get quickly tired of leftovers. So this helps to stretch it out. So it's a yummy meal. I'll put it together, put one in the freezer, one on the table this week, and then we should be good to go. So I hope you enjoy the footage. It's going to be kind of pieced together because I was doing things, of course, whirlwind style, trying to get several meals prepared, lunch on the table for the family. I've got several people who still don't feel good. We believe we have influenza. They've tested negative for everything else, so most likely it's influenza, but they're not testing for that, so I don't have proof, but they have all the classic symptoms. So anyway, so I'm definitely trying to just keep all the balls in the air, everybody, their needs met, and so these freezer meals are going to really help the next couple weeks to be able to get everything ready for Christmas. The last couple, we have one full week of school and 2 days the following week left before our holiday winter break starts. So these meals are going to get us through this coming week. I have some things in the freezer already, so that'll get us through that next full week. And then we have meals for Christmas made. So these next few weeks, I'm just doing the things on purpose for me to have more time to love on my family. And then before my break is over, then the kids and the family, David I'm sure will help too, will cook ahead hopefully a month's worth of dinners to put in the freezer to be ready for when school starts again. So this rotation, when we get in a groove and we have these meals ahead, it really gives us more time together, less mess to clean up. We all share the load with chores. We have them separated out 8 ways. So you know, the deep cleaning and the shining up things and the special stuff, David or I jump on, but the kids are awesome about doing a daily chore, and it helps to keep everything flowing. So this will keep the kitchen chore down to a quick job for whoever has a kitchen. 2 kids split that chore just because there's so many of us, and just trying to keep things simple but healthy food on the table and quickly in the evening so that we can have time together. So I hope you enjoy the video and the food that we've made.
One of my favorite songs.
Okay, so I cooked these noodles to al dente, and now I'm just going to sprinkle some shaky cheese. There's some Parmesan on them, and then I have another pot here. This is going to be for our family's dinner tonight, so I'm going to put some of that there. And then
You can end the video.
so I got about 6 to 8 pounds of pork roast cooking in the crock pot last night with that Caesar dressing that I talked about earlier. And so I'm just taking this meat. It is like so tender, I barely touch it and it breaks apart. That's what you want. Then I'm mixing it in with the noodles, and the noodles are al dente on purpose because I'm going to put some of this juice, because it's so yummy, in with the meat and the meat and the noodles, and then it will finish cooking the noodles, but they'll get the flavor of that yummy sauce. Just have to get the bones out. This pork roast is farm raised, organic, no chemicals, no pesticides, no hormones, anything. So it's super healthy meat. And they're really high quality meat that we get from our friend who has a farm. So we know exactly how they're fed, how they're processed, how they're cared for. They even get cared for by a little teenage girl who's learning how to show animals. So she's super gentle with them. So I just feel like if we're going to buy meat, I would rather get it from somebody that I know and help them and know that it's been humanely raised and healthy as possible. So I'm not going to get all of these pounds of pork in here because I'm going to save some for some other meals this week, but got a bunch of it. I'm making sure I don't have any fat. I don't want that in here. Oh, there's Lucy singing the song of her people. All right, so I think that's enough meat. And then I'm gonna get some juice out here. So I'll just scoop it out. Now I can thicken it, and I probably will thicken some of it later for some gravy to go along with the meat. I've got some mashed potatoes left over from some meals last week, at the end of the week, and I don't want them to get wasted, so I'm gonna make some gravy for anybody who wants gravy. Have some pork roast and some potatoes and some vegetables, and we have a little bit of dressing left, and then nothing will go to waste. All right, so we'll just heat this up when it's time to eat, and people can put some extra shaky cheese on there if they want, some Parmesan, and then we'll put some vegetables with it, and it'll be a great dinner for tonight. And then we have one here that I'm going to wrap up and put in the freezer so that in the next couple weeks we'll have another one of these casseroles ready to go. And it's just that simple, and it's so yummy. The broth from this, because there was the Caesar dressing and that meat cooking, it's amazing. It just has such great flavor. So that's it. That's how simple this process really is. And then I'll just take the rest of this meat, package it up, and put it in the fridge, and we'll eat it this week.
Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching.